Welcome in, everyone. This is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report. And oh my God, that was a game. That was a game. That was, I don't think I've seen a game that was more dull in the first half. And then the excitement by the end of the game was so amped up, which, by the way, if my voice sounds hoarse, there should be an obvious reason for that. As was, yes, both defenses, it was, oh my God. I mean, for real, if you were either fan base, Bengals or Ravens, at no point did you feel safe. Nobody felt safe in this game. Um, I mean, the second Jamar Chase touchdown was obscene. I mean, everybody in the stadium, you could hear it, you could hear a pin drop. But we're gonna get into that. So, um, oh my God. Anyway, so let's get into some of this stuff, guys. Let's get into some of the stats and everything, because I mean, again, we're gonna break it all down. We're gonna get into, I mean, the for the Bengals, Burrow throws the ball 56 times. 56. He had 428 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, even though he could have been picked off a couple times, sacked 3 times, all by Namdi Madubuike, which again, I feel like this entire week going into this game, so many people were like, "Where's Madubuike? Where is he? We're paying this guy so much money." Boom, he shows up when we needed him to. And there was pressure coming from a couple of different people, right? So Adafe Owe, he came in, he made a couple of pressures, a couple of almost got there. So um oh my God. But yeah, so we smother their run game. I mean, Chase Brown, he was again a dangerous guy out of the backfield catching the ball. He was great at receiving the ball and doing things with his legs afterwards. But I mean, as happy as I am that we got the win, and I am happy to lose that game would have been, it would have felt terrible, especially with the 10 days of rest afterwards, right? It sucks. Sorry, it's really, it's such a bad feeling to sit for that much longer waiting for your chance to play and win again. I mean, that's how all offseason felt for us since the AFC Championship game. But Chase went 11 for 17 for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. I I I mean, we've there are teams that don't have that many yards of offense as a whole in a game. 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. Again, I'm happy we got the win, but that is disgusting. Chase Brown, like I said, out of the backfield, he did an excellent job. 9 receptions, 52 yards. I mean, the fall off, again, Higgins not being there, I think, was huge. I definitely think that would have put them over the top, especially the way that the secondary was playing, especially when Kyle Hamilton went out. You know, seeing him walk off kind of under his own power. I mean, when it first happened, I was texting my buddy. I said, "Oh my God, is he done for the year?" Because at first it looked non-contact, and when they showed the replay and they showed his foot and the other Bengals player kind of getting either stepped on or hyperextended or whatever it was, twisted. It doesn't look as serious, but again, we got to wait to see. Hopefully, we'll get some information on that. Probably not until the start of next week, and even then, who knows what John Harbaugh is going to say. Speaking of John Harbaugh, I mean, I've been a big defender of Harbaugh, but excuse me, that first drive challenge, as soon as they showed Harbaugh and he had the red flag in his hand, I was like, no, please, no. I mean, as far as Mitchell, we did see him on that one punt return. He actually did get a carry for like essentially not any yards, but then there was a penalty and they took the penalty. So it basically negated him even getting a carry in the game, basically. Which, I mean, to be honest, they didn't really use their running backs too much in this game, the Ravens. Let's get right into the Ravens stats while we're at it. So Lamar ends the day 25 of 33, which I have down here. That's a 75.7% completion percentage. So he was, again, slinging it. He didn't look 100% in a couple of these plays, but apparently 80% of Lamar is better than almost everybody else out there, which should be no surprise. 290 yards, 11.6 average per pass, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, passer rating of a 141.4. 141.4. So he goes from perfect down to a 141.4. So I don't know, man. I don't know if he's got it. Derrick Henry goes 16 attempts. Again, another light day for Henry, which again, the Bengals did definitely have an answer for Derrick Henry in the first half. He was being stopped. But there were no gaps opening up. We'll have to wait for Cole Jackson probably to break down the gap schemes and things like that. But I'm going to go in and look at some film as well because I want to see exactly, because this is the second time that the Bengals have really stuffed the run, and I'm worried other teams are going to be kind of following suit with that. Yeah, I mean, and again, yes, the offense carrying and saving the defense, it's not going to work in the playoffs. And to be honest, the first half offense was, I don't know what, man, they were funky. I don't know if they were they looked out of sync. It looked like the play calling was weird. It looked like a lot of, I don't want to say nonsense, but they were not executing. And I don't know whether that was the play calling or the execution of the players, but it just really seemed like something was off. And the defense in the first half was actually playing. I mean, obviously you can look at the score differential. I mean, what was it? They had a score differential. I wrote it down here somewhere. Where they had, I think it was 48 points were scored in the second half between the two teams. So that was just, again, to your point earlier, defense was just absolutely terrible by both teams. But Derrick Henry, 16 attempts, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. Lamar, 7 for 33, 4.7, which again, I mean, that almost touchdown run is just, again, we're spoiled. We're spoiled as Ravens fans. And last week when we were facing the Broncos and Bo Nix took off on, like, I think it was a 3rd and 10. He just took off and he got the first down, and it was so frustrating. And as I was getting frustrated by it, a thought occurred to me that this is what other fan bases must go through facing Lamar Jackson, this frustration of, yes, he got the first down. How did he escape that and get the first down? I mean, we dealt with that tonight with Burrow making a pass out of the pocket almost every time he escaped on 3rd down. But Lamar's running ability, again, is just, even when he's not 100%, he is just incredible and just one of the best players in the league, obviously. I mean, he is the best player in the league. I mean, again, even on the stage, the national stage like this. So getting into the receiving numbers for the Ravens, I mean, Wallace leads the way. Tylan Wallace at the top of the receiver list. He goes 3 for 3 for 115 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, that 84-yard, which when that flashed up that was Lamar's farthest play, or I mean, it was, sorry, his furthest pass of his career. I mean, I guess it's not too surprising, but I mean, 84 is a long way. But I can't believe he stayed along the sideline that entire time. I mean, as close as he was to being out is how far out of bounds Isaiah Likely's foot was in that first game against the Chiefs for the touchdown. That's how close it was to being ruled out of bounds, which that momentum swing was huge. That momentum swing, and then when Marlon Humphrey got the ball out, he's back to being fruit punch, and he knocked the ball out. And not only was that one of the best plays on the defense, obviously, I mean, a turnover with great field position immediately, especially when the offense was like sort of sputtering. It wasn't really, didn't have its legs under it, so to speak. And then we immediately go down and score off of that, which was, I mean, 1-2 hit. That was an excellent series of plays. Mark Andrews goes 6 of 7 for 68 yards and a touchdown. Again, I don't know how defenses leave him uncovered, but even as I say that, our defense seemed to do the same thing with DeMar Chase a couple of times. So easier said than done, I guess. Bateman is third with he goes 6 of 8 for 54 yards and a touchdown. Zay Flowers, fairly quiet day for him. I feel like the Bengals really kind of focused on trying to keep a lid on him. And one of Lamar's few misses on the day was, and this is the third game I've seen this play not work. Where Lamar drops back to pass, Zay's on the outside, doesn't matter if it's left or right, and Lamar just misses him. And I don't know if that's just like them not being on the same page or whatever, but Lamar, like Zay's out there, and it resulted in that backwards pass. That I think that was the Browns game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that ended up being a fumble recovery for the other team. Um, but that play, I don't know. But later on in the game, they did make that play work, and then it came back because of ineligible player downfield. Excuse me. But the rest of these numbers, Flowers, like I said, somewhat quiet day for him. 4 for 6, 34 yards. Deontay Johnson gets some run out there. One reception, 6 yards. That's the one that went across the middle of the field, and he got tackled, which that was just a good play by the Bengals defense. Basically ended our chance of getting any points in the end of the first half there. Nelson Aguilar, he makes his work count. He gets 1 for 2 for 6 yards, but he gets that first touchdown, which, again, the threat of Lamar running, I don't think there's a play where his ability to completely alter what a defense is going to do is more visible than in that play. Because the second he is like looking fully committed to running the ball, everybody just leaves their assignment and breaks for Lamar. I mean, and I don't know how you go from that to stumbling and fumbling for the rest of the first half, but who knows? They put up 35 points. They put up, 28 points after that touchdown. So I guess it counts. But Charlie Kolar, one catch, 4 yards. Derrick Henry, 1 catch, 3 yards. Tucker, no field goals, but he goes 3 for 4 on extra points, which, I mean, my emotions and my heart rate and my anxiety and probably my blood pressure through basically all of the fourth quarter, or the latter half of the third and into the fourth quarter, was just, I mean, looking back at it now, it's shocking that he missed it. And it's shocking in general, even in the moment. But I mean, there was just so many things going on back and forth that Tucker missing it, because I gave in the pregame preview that I put out yesterday, my final score prediction was 31-28 Ravens. And at that time, when he missed that field goal, it basically set it up that if he had kicked a field goal at 20, or it basically would have ended up being 31-28. So I think he was just trying to set himself up for a game-winning field goal by missing that. Keaton Mitchell, as you were saying earlier, scores. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I guess we should just now assume that every Ravens and Bengals game is going to hover around the 70-point mark. So everybody that took the over, good for you, because if the Ravens are playing, take the over basically. But Keaton Mitchell, he does get one kick return, takes it 30 yards. I like the idea of easing him in. I like them sort of giving him a bit of a runway, not only because obviously he's coming off of an injury, we don't want to rush him back, but Henry is just, I mean, again, the Bengals did a good job quieting him down, but he's on such a historic run this year, and he is working so well with this offense. And with the offensive line in general, blocking better as the games go, I kind of don't want to take away from that mojo. But on defense, Roquan Smith, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't want to say that they're misusing him, because what do I know, right? I'm not a coach. I'm not down there, seeing everything. But there was a couple of times where I saw him at the line of scrimmage backing out, and then a play is made over his head into the middle. And how much is that his fault? How much is that, the whole scheme versus player? Marlon Humphrey was talking about that a couple days ago about, basically calling out the fan base for calling out the coaches. But at the same time, I mean, they got to work together. It can't be one or the other. Every time anyway. He ends the day with 12 tackles. Simpson right behind him with 7. Justin Mata, or sorry, did it again. Namdi Matabike. You were at the game. No, I was not at the game. No, I'm at home. This is my voice sounds like this because I'm this loud in my living room with my two young children in bed. but Namdi Matabike ends with 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. Brandon Stevens, another, I don't want to say disappointing day because I feel like after the highs of last season, it's he has not looked good. He's been picked on, and the disparity and the difference between Humphrey this year and Brandon this year is, I think, extremely high. So, excuse me one second. Sorry. So, but I would say Stevens had a somewhat better game in here. Again, we'll have to take a look once more the film comes out. I want to take a look at who was out of position because, I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, I don't want to reread it, but it's just 264 yards, 264 yards. He had a 63-yard touchdown and a 70-yard touchdown. Now, again, I'm not saying that it's just Brandon Stevens' fault. There's a lot of guys in that secondary that have had issues over the season, but so I mean, like a win is a win, but they got 10 days to kind of. I thought something was going to change in this one. Obviously, it's a short turnaround week, so that's a lot to ask for. But I would be really concerned if the Ravens defense come out next game looking as putrid as they did. But Marcus Williams, I mean, he had that one good tackle for loss early on in the game, and then it was just kind of confusion after that, miscommunication, whatever it is. Marlon Humphrey, my guy. And I pretty much wear this game. I wear this jersey pretty much every time we win. I actually was not wearing it during the Browns game, so obviously that's completely my fault that they lost that game. But he ends up going back to his old school days of being Mr. Marlon Fruit Punch Man. And like I said earlier on, I mean, that play was, I think that was the difference maker in the game because that was the shot in the arm that I think this team needed to kind of be like, you know what, they're not just gonna steamroll us in this game. Like we're gonna put up a fight. We're gonna hit some people. We're gonna do what we can to stay in this game and give the offense some time to get up to speed, get their legs under them, and that's exactly what happened. So I think Marlon's play was probably the game defining play. Kyle Hamilton before he left, he ends up with 4 tackles. He also had 2 pass deflections. My guy Barbarius Washington out there looking phenomenal. He did have another almost pick, and I'm watching the game with my wife, and she's like, "Why didn't he catch that?" And I was like, "I mean, it was a tough play to make. It would have been, if he had caught that play, it would have been, or if he had caught that interception, it probably would have been, I mean, one of the best interceptions of the year, just for the ability to turn around like that." But speaking of interceptions, I mean, Brandon Stevens, getting back into it, I just remembered what should have been an interception in the end zone. And I know they showed his knee touching out of bounds, whatever else with the foot drag. But I mean, if you give him the first down at the end of the game, when the tip of that ball is nowhere, by the time that and I forget who it was. I think it was Drew Sample, who caught the fourth down conversion for the first down there for the Bengals on that final drive. But Marlon tackled him, and his knee was down, and the ball was not to the line of gain. So take that as you will. And then the commentators at the end of the game and everybody were just like, "That's defensive holding" on the last play of the game. I'm like, on the 2-point conversion. And I'm like, really? I mean, the Ravens did not play a squeaky clean game, but we knew going into this one that this crew, this reffing unit, was the most active with their flags in the league. So we knew this kind of game was coming. If Ravens fans know how our games go as far as that. So Quiet day from our pass rushers other than Namdi Madubuike. Kyle Van Noy doesn't do too much. Adafe Owe, again, his own as in his own words, right? Um, but I mean, when you look down the team stats, the time of possession in the first half was just wild. I mean, the Ravens barely had the ball. The first drive, for the Bengals was long and all that, and then the Ravens was 3 and out, and then the Bengals had another long drive. So for it being basically 31-28 in favor of the Bengals there, that's surprising by the end of it. So we definitely controlled more of the clock in the second half, which we needed that. Total yards, kind of a quiet day for the Ravens, only 389. And again, passing yards was just extreme. I mean, 264. That's insane. Rushing yards, again, quiet from each team. We held them to 49 yards. Ravens only total 99 yards. We did not have 100 rushing yards in this game. And I'm sure that's some kind of streak that they were on of having at least 100 yards in however many games. So the run game, whatever the Bengals were doing to stop our run game in this one was working, whatever they were doing. And again, we did not do excellent on them last game either. The overtime run by Henry in week 5, he had 41 yards to that point. And then in this one, I mean, he ends up with 68. So he did start to wear them down at the end of the game, which of course is one of the best aspects of his game. But yeah, just seeing that 99 is interesting for this Ravens team. Excuse me. So couple other points. Yeah. Oh, there it is right there. 11 penalties. 11 penalties for this Ravens team. And that's kind of one of the first things I wanted to get into on my other side notes here is just we need to they are drive killers. How many times, if you guys are watching the game, how many times the Ravens were on first down and they either make a play or they don't make a play, whatever, and whistle, illegal formation, false start, whatever it is, now they're 1st and 15. Or holding, 1st and 20, behind the sticks. And I mean, I at this point, it's you can't just keep blaming the refs. And while some of their calls were bad on both sides of it, I mean, that's just sloppy play. 11 penalties to 3. Bengals had 3 penalties. Ravens had 11. I don't know the yardage. I don't have the yardage up here, but that's unacceptable. Yeah, I mean the Hamilton injury, we'll see. We'll see what the Hamilton injury looks like. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Obviously, because he's such a crucial part to this defense, and he's the unicorn, right? He can do a bunch of different things. and the Ravens need him to do that in this defense. But yeah, so like I said, the middle of the defense, it was still too open. I mean, it was just when you see when you see Joe Burrow sliding out to the right, and then he throws with that confidence that the middle of the field is open. And it's so tough. And this is why before the trade deadline, and I know I didn't want to harp on it too much because a lot of other people were talking about it, and we as a fan base sort of know what we were kind of looking for, but a pass rusher, that's what we needed. And we kind of saw that in the game because as great as Nnamdi Madubuike was in the middle, as great as he was in this game, that's not consistent. And it can't be, right? Because again, maybe they didn't double him as much in this game and he took advantage of that. Well, the next team's going to see that and they're going to double him. So we need to get pressure from other places. And that wasn't really happening in this game. Again, and I wrote this note probably in the middle of the third quarter. I said, how did they let Chase do it to us again? I mean, again, it's one of those things where the plays by Lamar, the plays by Andrews. Oh, thank you. But no, it's not Super Bowl worthy right now. I appreciate the shout out. Um, but it's yeah, shout out South Bronx. Nice. I'm in Queens, so um but the defense, no, it is not Super Bowl worthy. And as far as the whole idea of, especially after the trade deadline ended and we didn't go out and get a pass rusher, and everybody's immediate response that I saw in like Bleacher Report comments and Reddit and everywhere was, oh, well, we'll just blow out all the teams. If we look at this game, that's not a viable strategy. That's never a viable strategy. That was the Chiefs, like, what, 5 years ago? They just basically had the worst defense in the league and the best offense in the league, and that's not sustainable. Um, but yeah, I mean, Marlon Humphrey is a beast, and I said it before the season started. I said he's, all these people writing him off, all these people saying that he's not worth the money he's making. I mean, I can agree that maybe Marcus Williams is part of that conversation for sure, and I don't think I would have too many people getting mad at me for saying that. But without Marlon Humphrey, I mean, again, Kyle Hamilton is a huge part of this defense, but we saw in the Browns game what happens without Marlon Humphrey. And, it could be Marlon Humphrey, the combination of Marlon Humphrey and Nathaniel Wiggins, Nasty Nate. But because, I mean, again, he was hardly targeted in this game, and he ended up just basically having, I think he didn't even have a tackle, but he had a pass deflection. So shout out to Nate. But without Marlon, I don't know what this defense is doing in the secondary. It's a pretty rough picture. So, um, but man, this game had so many amazing plays. So many amazing plays. I mean, the Lamar one was just insane. Tylan Wallace again, out of nowhere too. I feel like. I mean, again, that's kind of one of the funnest parts about this team. And I know I talk about this all the time if you watch my other videos, but everybody in this offense is dangerous. And at no point have I mentioned in that spiel about everybody being dangerous, at no point have I mentioned Tylan Wallace. Yet he just explodes for Lamar's longest pass play of his career for a touchdown, tight roping the sideline. I I mean, again, if you're a defense, I don't know what you do. I guess you try to stop Henry, but if the Ravens get out to a better start than what, 7 points in the first half, if they get out to any better start than that, I mean, the Bengals, at least they were consistent. 7 points in the first quarter, 7 in the second, 7 in the third, and then 13 in the fourth, which again, that's Ravens defense for you. But the Ravens, on the other hand, 0 in the first quarter, 7 in the second, 7 in the third, and then 21 in the fourth quarter. I mean, if this team gets out to any better of a start on the game, but again, that's not sustainable with the defense playing the way it is. But yeah, I mean, good amount of rest for these guys. They need it. We needed the mini bye because our bye is so late, and I'm pretty sure we double check, so I'm not wrong here. But our next game is the Steelers, and it is in Pittsburgh. So week 11, Sunday, the November the 17th, 1:00 game. So we'll be taking them on. At that point, so who they have this week? They have, so they're going to the Commanders on Sunday. So that'll be a pretty good, measuring stick for the Steelers, I think. We'll see if Russell Wilson still continues to play the way he does. We'll see the additions that they've made on their team. So yeah, I mean that's going to be, we're going to be the first opponents that they face from the AFC North, which is just crazy that week 11 is their first divisional game. That's a very heavy division, very heavy backloaded schedule for them. But at that point, we'll see if they're 7-2, 6-3. But right now, the Ravens are, for at least the next few days, back in first place in the division. Um, and, I mean, the score is what it is, right? We won the game. Teams would say the same thing if they were in our shoes in the opposite way. But um, there's definitely still a lot of things to clean up for this defense, especially the offense. It's so relieving to have an offense where if the run game is not working, like it wasn't in this game as much, that the passing game can light people up and punish people. Again, that won't always be the case. The Bengals are kind of middle of the road on both, but they definitely sold out to stop the run, and Lamar made them pay. Another day where Lamar comes in and he's got to figure out the soft points in the defense, try to figure out where he's going to get some guys open. Um, some of his receivers did a great job at helping him, find soft spots in the defense. But another day, passer rating over 140, which is just I don't know how this guy does this so consistently. I mean, I was looking back again the preview to this game. It seems like every single week since week 5, Lamar has had over a 100 passer rating in every single game. So all those conversations about, I don't know, Josh Allen for MVP or Jared Goff. I mean, first of all, Josh Allen is not MVP, like at all. He went head to head with the Ravens and he absolutely blew it. Nah. So that's going to wrap it up before I go completely loss of voice here. But thank you to everyone coming out. I really appreciate it. This was really fun to do. That was an amazing game. And let's all go Lamar or Henry MVP. Yeah, well, I like the idea of Lamar MVP, Henry. Oh, hey, Squiddy. I like the idea of Henry being offensive player of the year. So we'll take that. But we need to keep giving him the rock if he's going to do that. So hopefully these 10 days of rest will be good for the team. We got the win, so the 10 days of rest will feel good for us. I'm excited. I'm going to have some other videos coming out next week. So yeah, thank you. If you guys enjoyed this, please go ahead, hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe. Yeah. So thank you all and have a good night. Get some sleep. I'll see you later. Bye.